It's all fake news, and it's Homo Vulgaris.
Hooray!
Yeah, you said one of my least favorite phrases of the, I don't know, year, century?
Yeah, let's go with year.
Young century.
Yeah,
actually year, because there's some, well, we'll get to it. Hi, I'm Foster, and I have a lot to say today.
Good. I'm Shoggoth. I'm here.
I'm Pinback, and society is a lie, and I have nothing to say.
Which is on one of our shirts, which you can purchase, the official Homo Vulgaris Redbubble. Yeah, it's got Shrek's head photoshopped onto Sanic's body, and it says, what was it again? My society is a lie, and I have nothing to say.
This wasn't an ad. I actually didn't know that, I hope there's no copyright issues there.
We're punk rock, cyberpunk anarchists, and we don't care about your TPP. We wipe our PP with your TPP. Because we're polite, and we dab afterwards because we don't like having that little piss stain on the front of your head.
Yeah, no dribble.
I think I'll work on my I want to fuck the moon shirt and see how I can work that into a design. That's a good design.
I want to fuck the moon.
I want to fuck the 3-shat moon, which is available in a variety of prints from the official Homo Vulgaris Redbubble.
Oh.
So stop the Lugan presses. We've got some hot topics tonight. Why don't you start us off, Buster?
Nailed that transition.
I mean,
Why
I guess.
Don't you tell us some fake news.
I think a lot of today's topic will be about our jobs because Shogs has a really nice surprise for all of us about gainful employment and turning yourself into a cog in the wheel of the capitalist system. But I as a member of the press in a small town, have been constantly bombarded over the course of last week by our very angry viewers who have taken up Trump's call of fake news to, well, threaten us and descend upon us and basically call for state media. So that's been fun.
I feel like the implication is that you guys don't get to keep your jobs in the new state media.
No, like, for a while I was a little hopeful. I'm like, whatever, just a different boss and easier to write stories because they're handed to me. But at the same time, like, I kind of realized that for the transition of power to happen, it would mean I'd have to be at the wall when the revolution came.
Building it or standing right up against it?
Right up against it after they build it. Like on the American side, that's how they're going to christen it.
Yeah.
Breaking a wine bottle on an anchor of a boat, except the wine bottle is some hippie's head.
All right. Well, I just don't have to have much. I mean, all it is that our viewers are already fairly conservative viewers in this small town that I stay in, and they viewership in my town is fairly conservative. They're used to using the word liberal like a slur, and liberal agenda rolls off their tongue. I mean, liberal media rolls off their tongue like nothing else. And I'm kind of used to that. Like, I get the occasional hate email about how, you're the liberal bias, blah, blah, blah. But since the introduction of the concept of fake news, people have been a lot more aggressive in their correspondences with me, making allusions to coming down there and fixing the problem themselves. The not so subtle, Trump's gonna deport you with the Mexicans, that sort of stuff.
Wow, and I thought I got a lot of death threats as a debt collector.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't think I'm up there. The death threats are few and far between, but the people who think they're, I mean, and they get it from Trump. They think they're being clever with that nudge.
The rise of the fascist mobs is getting to be a little bit much right now for me to really handle.
It's a lot more than I'm comfortable with, but at least right now I feel like the size of the opposition, like they're outnumbered by the opposition.
I mean, who is the fucking opposition? I guess we got the protesters that they'll show up. A lot of them have been, and that's great. But
yeah, I mean, we've seen some huge protests, and I think that's a good sign. Like, I don't think the fascist component of the American electorate can mobilize as many people as the people that are explicitly anti-fascist, even if they're not explicitly, say, left-wing.
The problem is the people acting on this, they don't know they're engaging in that sort of behavior. I mean, like I said, I was watching a colorized film of Goebbels. I think I brought this up before. And he was saying, oh, that Jewish media, that Lugenpress, if they keep doing what they're doing, we're going to teach them a lesson. That it's the same coded speech that we're going to get rid of these people.
Yeah, he's really into getting rid of people.
Well, yeah, no, I thought, and especially with my fascination with North Korea, I thought that, maybe I could get a job writing those really like, the voice of the people has come before you today, representing a new form of democracy. In his glorious plan, our dear leader, voice of the republic, arm of the people, unveiled this plan today to create 40,000 new jobs by abolishing the EPA. Like, there you go. I wrote an article. Was that good? Do I get my ration now?
I mean, if it gets 1,000 clicks on Medium, maybe.
Right. Like, I thought I could do that, but apparently, like, because I'm already in the established media, I got to nail my head to a pike.
Did you say you have to nail your head to a pike? Because that'd be impressive.
No, someone's got to do it for me.
Okay.
Like, and I don't really probably want to participate that much.
Just a fucking lazy liberal looking for a handout, not willing to do an honest day's work of nailing your own head to a pike.
Yeah,
right.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and onto that pike.
Well, speaking of bootstraps, I think our good friend Shoggoth has pulled himself up by his leather lederhosen and self-actualized. I'm
in a industry that's just as primal as truth telling and journalism. I am now a smut purveyor, and I can't disclose certain details on the air to respect my company's integrity and the anonymity of any local celebrities. But sex shop. Basically, I'm basically just like a babysitter, I'm the receptionist at a daycare for old perverts.
Yeah, I feel like you're not anybody under the age of 35 at least doesn't need to go to a store to get their smut.
Yeah,
they don't even need to pay for it.
Very few women buy dildos is one thing I'm learning. Men buy way more dildos than women do.
Well, I think the women have the good sense to also order those online, probably.
No, you want to go into the store because, I guess you could, but you want to be able to examine these things before you buy them. They're all made out of different materials. Like the advancements in smelly, fucking weird, squishy silicones is quite impressive these days.
I mean, do they have test models that you can try out and make sure they fit?
No, that's no, obviously no. We do have a lot of hand sanitizer around the place, though.
I'd certainly hope so.
You also assured me that your job did not involve mopping.
Yeah, no, we have a separate person who cleans up in the back.
God, I wouldn't want to have that job.
Yeah, that'd be my main concern if I was working at one of those institutions, would be that my job would involve mopping.
No, not for what you pay me.
But you were saying they made a lot of advances in synthetic flesh. I, for one, have always been intrigued by the double fist. I believe it resembles nunchaku, and imagine a styled vigilante superhero who uses them as weapons, like boomerangs. I
was looking at a double-headed dog the other night and actually thinking about what you were saying about nunchucks. I was like, yeah,
right. Like if
I wonder if people who didn't know better would even notice those were sex toys, or were they just like, oh, he's hitting people with nunchuck fists.
Well, if you're one of those really fast guys who's all around the place, then they'd probably never notice. But if you're just a regular person who's yeah, I got my nunchucks. I don't know what these things really do. They're kind of the most mysterious weapon in the world.
I'm going to be honest. I don't really get nunchucks. Of all the weapons you could use, why nunchucks?
I want a club, but I want a club that could just as easily hit me.
Well, I was thinking if you had to rob a bank or you were robbing a bank and one of those flew out of the air and hit you in the face, you'd probably stop what you were doing, and you'd probably realize what hit you in the face, and that would be a very disarming moment. And then the night, a figure would rise up, his giant helmet and elongated smooth body, and he would point and be like, "Stop right there," and you'd stop.
Why is his body elongated and smooth?
Hairless too, completely hairless.
I mean, I guess that's sanitary.
Hair keeps you clean, man. Hair is there to is sanitary. It's there to filter out the bad things.
But bugs can live in it.
And Cheeto crumbs and chip dust, yes, all those things. But you can wash that.
That's actually one of the things that has really kept me from ever growing a beard or trying to, is just the idea that it's like all this shit is gonna get in it all the time. I feel like it'd be like just the idea, I guess, of having a bunch of shit stuck to my face really bothers me.
Well, yeah, it's pretty nice actually. You get to stroke it and it lets you think when you're like, it really stimulates thought processes when you're stroking your own beard.
Oh, you cut out after stimulate for a second? I thought you were going to say something else entirely. Ugh.
So what else has been going on? And Mark Zuckerberg wrote a big old manifesto.
Oh yeah, that which definitely feels like an attempt to draft a presidential campaign platform.
Yeah, I can't wait for President Zuck. I can't wait for the world to end before he has a chance to run, is more like it. Because, Jesus, fuck. The last thing we need is President Zuck.
Dude, I don't think anybody would fucking vote to make that guy president. Well, not enough. Not like, I mean, I feel like he'd, because of all of his money and fame, he'd probably like do better than a Jill Stein, or a Gary Johnson, but not by that much.
I mean, he's one of the most richest and powerful people in the world with a stranglehold on everybody's political feeds and everyday personal experiences. So I think he might be able to drum up some support using his fucking MK Ultra fucking viral feeds.
I don't think so. I don't think most of that hypothetical control would actually mean anything in the end. I think if you really started fucking with it enough to matter, people would notice, and then they'd all just want to go to a different website. And but my main reason is just like, look at Mark Zuckerberg. He looks like a fucking greasy basement-dwelling weirdo. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not a look people tend to vote for.
He doesn't look like a fucking. He looks like
weird,
a fucking
rich Harvard guy with no goddamn charisma. You know,
he does have zero charisma.
Like no one would fucking vote for him to be president because no one would like him. Like, you know what I mean?
Are we?
Nobody likes Donald Trump, and he's president now.
Are we talking about the Facebook update thing that happened with the global community? Why hasn't Alex Jones sprung a gasket on there? Like, even I was alarmed by the amount of times he talked about like global unification. Even I was just like, dude, where do you think you are?
I was like, you're a billionaire fucking nerd who just never got his face stuck in the toilet by a jock enough.
I mean, you run Facebook. The average Facebook user expresses their using prefabricated like photos of characters from the Minion movie, and they don't even come up with the text on them. They just see something like, "Boy, it doesn't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps." And then
there's just like a minion doing a wink face or something,
winking with a single eye. So it's basically got its eyes closed.
Yeah.
But, I don't know about you, but when I get off work, I get drunk on wine and take my kids to soccer practice, wink.
And I'm like, okay, so that's what you're running. You're running that empire, the empire of shit. And you want to talk about these people being denizens of a global community? They can't even stand that their neighbor's probably a few shades darker than them. Like their real neighbor in real life.
I think I mean, it's the same problem you saw with the Democrats in the election. There's a bunch of out-of-touch, fucking rich people that are hypothetically really smart, but have bought into an incredibly stupid ideology, so they can't formulate a good decision because they're working for a bunch of fucked up assumptions. And I think all of these rich Silicon Valley guys are the exact same way, except even maybe more so. They have no connection to the real world whatsoever.
Well, it's interesting to see the inverse of that. Scott Adams, he's exactly what you said, except instead of having a far left ideology, he embodies far right ideologies.
Where does Zuck come out on things? He's like some kind of libertarian, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, there's that. It's kind of hard to pin down because a lot of these people are different, but there is this kind of it's a kind of liberal-ist ideology where it's, we don't care about if you're gay or whatever, but government shouldn't be stopping me from making millions of dollars, damn the consequences. But I don't care if you're gay or black.
if I fire you for taking a whole week off because you wanted to go have your gay honeymoon, I just want to let you know it's not because you're gay. It's because you tried to take a week off from work.
Exactly.
Right.
I guess it's kind of Randian, just that kind of so-called libertarianism where it's all, I don't care who you are or what you do as long as you don't stop me from taking a hold of whatever I can grab and keeping it. Like a lazy, half-ass Nietzscheanism.
A progressive kleptocracy.
One thing, he didn't. I just checked this. He did not turn off comments on that post.
Oh, any good ones?
Although somehow he gets to use a fancy font and like page breaks that no one else can make in their posts. But
he is the Zuck. He can use the fonts.
Now everyone in the comments so far is being sickeningly positive.
Well, it seems like the kind of thing that would attract the sycophantic ass kissers.
Yeah, the kind of people that are just like, wow, that's a really great note, Mark. I think we all need a lot of positivity in our lives, like that, but 100 times over.
I'm trying to find a manifesto because I skimmed it, but I want to see if there's anything specifically that stands out as really interesting. So I found it it articulated that idea of like a global capitalist free trade system ruled by the benevolent Ubermen for the good of all of us plebs. But, it was very layered in kind of generic humanitarian sounding pablum, but I can't find it. Like I Googled the fucking Mark Zuckerberg Manifesto, and it's all news articles about it, and I can't actually read the thing for myself.
It's in our planning chat back and forth.
Good.
There you go.
On Facebook.
On Facebook, ironically enough. I don't know why we eventually settled on that as being our planning thing, but it's not like we frequent the secret cabal chat rooms of the dark net anymore. We're kind of retired in that regard.
We could do a Discord, but
Oh.
You know what? I had one for a little while for other purposes. I could make a Homo Vulgaris Discord, and all of our dozens of listeners could congregate and just tell me how awesome I am.
That's actually not such a bad idea because I feel like if we have viewers, not to demean anyone who is listening right now, but if we have them, they are not very common, and I'd like to cater to you. And if you're like, hey, busters, shut your fucking face. No one cares about you. You think I'll be like, yeah.
You can come to the Discord and call us fake news and Lugenpress.
Oh, God.
I mean, I want to make it clear. I don't want any criticism because I know I'm great. I know this podcast is great and we don't need to do better. I just want our fans to come and kiss my ass and validate me as a person because I have horrible self-esteem issues.
Conversely, my self-esteem issues embody themselves in a way where I reject all positive feedback, and I only want you to come to me with insults. I will reject anything else.
I reject positive feedback too, but I'm hoping if I get enough of it all at once, it'll work. So I'm just going to keep chasing that dragon.
Yeah, well, that's bullshit.
I'm down for anything. I'll just lay down and let you guys just shit your praise all over me or walk over my face. So, I get off the same way either way. So don't worry about me.
Would you accept a bukkake of criticism?
No, not that much. I've got allergies.
Just one at a time, please. Well, I mean,
okay. Here's
over your new job. I knew I had a friend who worked at a pornography shop, and they had all sorts of fantastical tales about the marvelous trench coat wearing creatures that would trundle into their store.
I've seen a few. I actually got to kick one out, and it was like probably the most gratifying moment of customer service I've ever had because I just got to yell and swear at somebody and tell them to get the fuck out of my store. So.
Right. There's very few jobs that let you do that. Like I mentioned, my job where the old 75-year-old guy calls up and he's just gonna spend 15 minutes on the phone with me, calling me a liar and a liberal, and how he just won't listen to my lies anymore. And you guys are gonna get what's coming to you, you dirty liberals. And I just sit there and take it.
I think you should start recording and reporting on these conversations. With the consent of those people.
Yeah, that's incredibly unethical. Oregon has extremely tight laws when it comes to recording phone conversations.
Well, that's why I said with consent. Like, if you're actually going to do it. But I think that would actually be really interesting. Like if you
here's
actually
what would happen, Pinbat, in that situation. You've stumbled upon a fairly brilliant idea because my job, in fact, is to get people to agree to appear on camera or to be recorded. And 90% of my job is listening to someone talk for about 15 minutes about how they think this issue is super important and they can't believe we're not covering it. But, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on TV.
Really? I actually figured the average person would want to be on TV more than not, but maybe I was wrong.
No, people shrink like violets. You can have someone who's been yelling at you for 15 minutes about something, and he'd be like, all right, cool, why don't you come down to the station and we'll just put that on the air? And they'll be like, oh.
Really?
Oh.
Actually, I thought I was weird for being a little more in that direction.
No. Average person, they will, you might as well have threatened them with a knife. Like the way they react, they're just like, oh, I wouldn't want to say that on the air. Like, especially we do something in the news industry called the man on the street. And I'm sure you've seen that little thing where it's just like we come at you with a camera. We're like, hey, what do you think about Santa Claus? Is he fun dude or is he just a big old pedophile? I mean, I'm not putting any words in your mouth, but what do you think about him? Most people will just shrink back and be like, oh, I don't want to be on TV.
There was a comedy series here in Canada, and I imagine it relied a lot on editing selectively for the best people. But a comedian who's popular here named Rick Mercer went down to the States and did a series of interviews with people where he got them to just come across as incredibly ignorant about Canada, like including people like state governors and stuff. Like, he got George W. Bush to congratulate our new prime minister, Pierre Poutine.
Well, that's kind of why my job's hard, because everyone feels like we're going to pull a fast one on him. And really, we just want you to say something like that we're not allowed to say, because libel laws don't apply to random Joes on the street. So if someone shoves a mic in your face and you're like, hey, what do you think about President Obama? We're not going to let you yell the N-word, but if you want to say, I think he's a Muslim, we're going to be like, all right, thanks. And then we're going to put you on the TV being like, yeah, this person really said that. Not that we want to trick people into it, but we just really want people to say, the kind of things you would think you would say behind closed doors.
Yeah, so that makes me think, though, if the desire to get on TV isn't as widespread as I thought, I guess that kind of tells you something about the people. You're only ever going to see on TV the people that are willing to go on TV.
Oh, you are exactly right. I didn't really bring that up. That is the bane of our existence as well. As the converse is just as annoying. Like when someone calls up the station and they're just like, hey, I run this charity and we haven't done anything newsworthy for over a year, but you should come down and just do a segment on our charity. Why? What are you doing? Oh, no, nothing. We're just really good people.
They're a charity, man. They deserve it.
Right, but it's that's not news, though. There's nothing new about your existence or what you do.
Are you taking money from poor people? And we can
right. Are you going to do something pretty novel? Like you could be as simple as, oh yeah, we're going to have a fundraiser where everyone wears little hats that look like dogs to symbolize our oppression as capitalist pig dogs. And I'd be like, great, I'll get a camera down there. But no, it's literally like, yeah, we've been around for years and we just want to be on TV. Come on over. All right. Why? Why should I do that?
Hey, I saw a frog. It looks just like Donald Trump.
Oh, you know what?
You guys need to come over here and look at this.
That probably would get on TV.
That would probably get on TV, and those are my favorite calls. Actually, I remember one day it had been snowing very heavily for several days, and we'd just been doing these really serious stories about snow. And the phone rings, and I pick it up. I'm like, "Hey, this is Buster's TV channel," and some guy goes, "Dude, there's a dragon in my driveway."
Holy shit!
And I'm like, "All right. Where do you live?" I don't even question it. I just go, "Where do you live?" He spews out his address, and then I'm like, "Okay, if we send someone there, will the dragon still be there?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's an ice dragon. I'm making an ice sculpture." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, we'll be right over there." Sure enough, that guy gets on the news. Yeah,
that's kind of ingenious of him.
Right. But to me, Like, that's the thing. A lot of people try clever pitches, but they try really long ones. They're like, oh, I've got this story, man. I got this incredible story. You wouldn't believe it, man. This is going to blow the lid off of everything. And I'm like, dude, I'm tired of hearing about how incredible the story is. Just fucking tell me. No, man, you got to come down here. I'm like, no.
Oh, like just if he says it's really important, you'll be like, oh, it's really important. I'll be right there.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. You got to at least be like, dude, there's a dragon. I'd be like, great. Where? Bring me the dragon. There's very few situations where I'd be like, that dragon not good enough for air. Sorry, I don't think that dragon's going to impress anyone.
If you found a story that could blow the lid off everything, would you run with it, or would you be afraid of the consequences?
Well, that's the thing. You gotta realize the small nature of small town markets. It's like, well, the thing that's going to blow the lid off of everything. Being able to prove something like that takes resources that are usually quite beyond, a small town news station. Like, and I'm not even talking about everything. Like, let's say we got evidence that some local rich society was running a like child prostitution ring. We'd be
Which they probably are.
Yeah, I wasn't saying anything there. That was just hypothetical. But being able to prove that beyond a shadow of doubt is really outside of the scope of a news station, unless like the police are already involved and already like taking care of it.
Well, what you need to do is you need to get an assault rifle, and you need to go down to a pizza restaurant.
Right, you need to go down to that pizza place, and you need to self-investigate the shit out of everything.
I mean, Pizzagate is insanely dumb, but I have no trouble believing that the rich and powerful are like trafficking in every perverse, illicit thing imaginable.
Hollywood absolutely has child trafficking rings.
I don't believe that the politicians have time for that bullshit. I do believe that pseudo-celebrities, on the other hand, are really down for that crap. Like, that's exactly why Jared from Subway should surprise no one. Because he has a bunch of money, he has no real fame. What's he going to do?
He also never kept that weight off, so he was a liar in that way as well. I mean, he really betrayed America's trust on every level. He's
right.
Like the Lance Armstrong of TV pitchmen. I'm really glad Billy Mays died before we discovered he took voice adjusting hormones or something.
Oh God, yeah, that would be devastating. I was gonna say, like, everyone kind of knew about the, nose candy.
Yeah, but, I was like, that's kind of just confirmed. We're like, I wonder if Billy Mays is on cocaine. Billy Mays dies of cocaine. Oh, well, right answer's that one.
Do you remember the ShamWow guy getting busted for beating a prostitute?
Yeah.
Not a prostitute, his girlfriend, but still.
Oh, I thought it was a prostitute. Maybe that was a separate scandal.
Maybe I think he might have
still equally wrong, though, I think.
But, yeah, it's still the idea, especially because it was the slap chop, which is already kind of a violent product.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why they hired him. They're like, wow, you really know how to slap.
Yeah, they're just like, and then their tagline was like, slap your troubles away with the slap chop.
He was really method.
Like, yeah.
About it.
Seems like. Well,
I was going through that Zuckerberg manifesto trying to find anything interesting to read on air, and it's just all this long-winded, pseudo-messianic, like, business talk. It's almost like Scientology, really. The way he's got these kind of, like, aspirational, almost spiritual ideas. Not really spiritual, but at least kind of messianic ideas, but done up in this kind of, like, disruptive Kickstarter project pitch fucking tech weenie way.
My belief more and more is that all of these people who are at the power levers of society and politics, or just because they're really rich or whatever, they're just as basic as everybody else. Like, they all think they're like, Mark Zuckerberg must think he's a genius because he got rich. He's like, well, I wouldn't be a billionaire if I wasn't like really awesome and shouldn't be running the world. But really, like, it's like, those people are like, oh, I'm a Buddhist because I read the Wikipedia article on Buddhism, or at least part of it, and it sounded kind of nice, like karma and reincarnation, so I'm a Buddhist now. It's that level of understanding of the world, and without anything on top of it, because he's so rich and successful, he's never needed to build anything on top of it. So he's just like, that's what he has to offer the world, is a barely an ideology.
I don't think they're basic. I think they're stupider than regular people.
Or even that, yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, like, but do you know the spirit science? I linked you that video.
God, I meant to watch more of that. That was God. If our viewers are wanting for madness and stupidity, that's more than I can handle. That's a buffet of just absolute bullshit.
It is incredible.
You just don't understand it.
Yeah, I just don't understand.
What gets me is like, so there's a spirit science Facebook page that's like really popular, and it's made its way into my feed multiple times because they'll post like really generic, like actualize yourself by internalizing your chakras, and then there's just like a picture of a really nice sunset, and they just post like this shit like that, or that's just like be nice to people. And like, oh, being nice to people is great, like and share. But then they have all these YouTube videos where the person who runs the page outlines their belief system, and it's every conspiracy theory, every UFO documentary, every goddamn Japanese RPG game, all rolled into one. Like healing crystals and human civilization came from Atlantis and the saucer men and all of this stuff just thrown together into a blender.
Oh,
and they're long too. They are.
Oh, there's hours of this stuff, and it's just one giant mythology that's been cobbled together like a collage or like a bunch of Lego blocks from just a bunch of stuff this person just grabbed out of pop culture. And they're just like, I'm going to build my own worldview, and everyone has their own truth.
It's just really, really like, I mean, like 5 minutes into a video, and he just bowls into it. Like, I was watching one on the pyramids, and he just bowls into it, like, without even, like, the ancient alien courtesies of, like, some people think these structures were built by man. He just bowls into, like, clearly no man could build these.
I like that, though, because he didn't waste time with all, like, now, this is only my opinion, because it always is. He just went straight
acknowledging, like, the possibility of normalcy. It's like, no, like, it's fucking pyramids. They are already alien structures, so what do they do? Let's figure it out.
There's a secret library under the Sphinx.
But I think that brings us back, because we were talking about fake news earlier. It's this idea that there are things which are universally true, but even those things we can't see in a universal sense. So everybody is kind of trapped in their own reality that is just the stuff they can, the limited things they can see in here, plus all the stuff in their head that they use to make sense of it. And at some level, I think as a society, we've become more and more aware of this idea. There's that idea, everybody has an opinion, everyone has their truth, everybody's got more and more their own customized belief system. That's just a bunch of stuff they pull from other places instead of adherence to one church or one dogma or one ideology. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but so often at the time it's just so shallow. And I think a lot of the people at the top of the society are no different than, your kooky cousin who's really into the spirit science or has their own random assortment of conspiracy theories they glued together into an attempt at a worldview. And I don't know.
I think some people have the ability to be more critical and less willing to believe the fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm not advocating for being a dipshit at all. Like, I'm myself a little bit of a pedantic nerd about that stuff still. But my point is that the people who are in power, a lot of them, I think their worldview is cobbled together in the same half-assed, shallow way. And it's just they think it must really be significant because they wouldn't be rich and powerful if they weren't really smart and right about everything.
Yeah, I mean, you saw stuff like that with some of the like newspaper tycoons and stuff like that, but it never. Very few of them went like full spiritual. Often, and even Trump, before he was our dear leader, kind of got into this thing with the art of the deal. He thought he was rich, therefore his negotiating style must be a higher path to success that could be emulated.
Yeah, he's been rich and powerful and famous his whole life, so therefore he must be doing something right, I don't even know if Trump even is as far as the spirit science person. Like, at least that person has their own mythology. I don't know if Trump has that much of a world view. Like,
the art of the deal really outlines how one should conduct themselves when dealing with other people in a business situation. I mean, that is what it is. It is a self-help book.
The Art of the Deal was just but the Art of the Deal was just written by a guy, and they slapped Trump's name on it. He talked to Trump, over a couple of years and just tried to, and yeah, he just wrote like a generic self-help book on top of just Trump's ramblings and the things he saw hanging out in his
I guess so. It really isn't like Trump's put together a cohesive.
Yeah, like
it's his canon.
People just wrote stuff based on watching him and trying to build a worldview out of his just impulsive behavior. But like I do remember reading, like as a kid, his dad always told him, "Oh, you're going to be a king, you're going to be great," while also just being like the cold, distant business dad. So like I think that's just kind of his worldview. He believes in himself and his own greatness, but doesn't really have a clear idea of what any of that means. But because he's really rich and basically charismatic enough, he's never faced enough serious consequences for his fuck-ups to ever really doubt his inherent greatness or get really self-critical or introspective about it. And now he's old and may have dementia and is probably all coked out or on speed or something, and he's
really stupid.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, I read a conspiracy theory, and unlike what makes it unique is it is a leftist conspiracy theory. Which are a little bit more rare.
Don't deny that.
Yeah, we have them, but they're a little less common. But the particular one is that Trump cannot read.
Oh, I saw that on being. Was it Samantha Bee had that bit on her show?
Right. I just completely outright dismissed it. I'm like, we want to project the ideas of incompetence and just utter buffoonery onto our enemies, but it's never that bad.
I don't think he could have gotten through. I mean, I don't believe any of the stuff he says about being really smart or a great student. I do think he's a huge, shallow dumbass, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could read the same way a lot of people can read, where it's like they can recognize commonly used words and basically what they mean, but they don't read deeply or a lot. Like they're literate functionally, but they're not literate, you know what I mean?
I think when he was acting as his own PR guy, he had to do a little bit of digging and research himself. He's probably got some understanding.
No, you can always pay someone to do all the legwork for you.
But back then he wasn't willing enough to pay a guy to act as his PR guy. He'd rather do it himself. So
yeah, he's lazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's so
it's hard
stupid.
to know.
I just can't believe how stupid the president is. Like he's just a big dummy. Like Bush wasn't anywhere near as bad. Like this guy just doesn't know diddly shit. Like sorry. Yeah, this turns into this kind of gibbering anger after a while when you just like think you're like, oh, he's bad about everything, and my brain can't say it all at once. So it just turns into this like.
It's to me, Trump is just it's like when a zit breaks through the surface of your skin, but it's a representation of something that was always happening, or when an illness or a disease starts to show like really serious outward signs, or even say like drug addiction or alcoholism. Like you have to be a drug addict for a long time before you look like the stereotypical drug addict, right? And I think Trump is just this obvious, unignorable sign of something of things that have been wrong with and true about America and the larger sort of capitalist liberal democracies for all of their history. We like to talk about our narratives of like freedom and democratic government, both in the US and here in Canada. But in truth, when the US was founded, a bunch of people were owned as property. Most of the other people couldn't vote unless they were men and held land. So that's really not a democracy by any standard we would reasonably apply to today, right?
Yeah.
Or Canada, like, you know, we talk about our kind of great history of responsible government, but I mean, our longest serving prime minister loved Hitler until World War II actually happened, was incredibly racist, and took advice on governing from seances he would hold to contact the spirits of his dead grandmother and his passed away dogs. That's Mackenzie King.
No, like I didn't know any of this, and my biggest question is, what did the dogs have to say?
I don't know. Actually, I've read snippets, but his diaries are all online too. William Lyon Mackenzie King, and you can read his thoughts. But yeah, like I remember this. Don't quote me on this. This might be misinformation, but I remember reading that he even had like for his weird spiritualist beliefs, because a lot of the upper classes took on that fascination with the occult in the 19th and early 20th century. He had like bits of some castle from Britain flown over and reassembled like the bad guy from Gargoyles.
Yeah.
So he could conduct his spiritual shit there.
Wow.
Like, he was like fucking wacky dude.
That's awesome.
That is literally the plot of a Saturday morning cartoon. It's like, we need the Blarney Stone, and we'll assemble them all together, and that'll let me contact my evil dead grandpa.
And his dogs.
Yeah. No. So back to the dogs. I've consulted with mainly Shogg's cat several times on matters political. They don't have much input. They really don't care. They really don't.
Well, cats are they're irresponsible, and they are, obviously highly misanthropic, and they have opinions. They just don't really think that you're worth their time.
But well, that's cats though. I mean, even dogs. I don't think dogs are going to be able to give informed like political views, even if you somehow understood their communications.
Yeah, I don't know what a dog has to tell you about all that much.
Especially a dead dog. Well, I think we've gotten really political in this episode, and I've got no graceful segue, but I think we should talk about weird internet shit, because I think
talk about weird internet shit.
That's what people are here for. I would like to plug a channel, 18th Century Cooking. You guys seen this?
No.
Man who dresses up in colonial era clothes and makes on YouTube, he makes historically accurate food using like all sorts of horrible things that you'd never want to put into your body.
What, like cow shit?
They had this thing that was kind of like it's what we replace oil and grease with, but it's basically little fat pellets.
Lard?
It's like lard, but it's little pellets of lard.
Little pellets.
What was it called? Little horrible pellets. And he says like they're really easy to go bad. Like it's really easy for them to like completely go bad and really poison you. So it's really hard to get a hold of these because no reasonable modern store will sell them anymore.
Wow, so this like you could kill yourself just by fucking up your cooking.
Right. Well, and then one of the things I love about it is the whisk. Often the recipes would require whisking because it's a very basic cooking thing. But back then they didn't have a nice metal whisk. You just got some fucking twigs. You just got a bunch of twigs and you stuck them in your shit and you there you go. You get some twig in there.
Yeah, I mean, really it's like camping. You cook your wieners on a stick that you shaved.
I had to wash dishes in the ocean once in the rain. That really sucked. Like it's just like I had to like go wade out into the tide and find like a tidal pool and try and wash these dishes. And it was really fucking cold. And they're using sand as a
lot of this is that kind of stuff where it's cooked outside in like a camping style, at a little stone thing with like an oil thing. But he tries to cook some surprisingly modern dishes. The one that got me hooked on this was onion rings.
Oh my god!
They had onion rings. They had onion rings, and they were done over an open fire with a cauldron of grease. And he said they wouldn't dare do this inside because part of this is the grease just gets everywhere and starts these massive grease fires.
When you said that, I thought like he was just like, oh, what if I tried to make onion rings in the 18th century? But actually, like this was a thing they did do then.
He bases all of his stuff off of things that he finds in like really old cookbooks, like historical cookbooks, and he tries to do the recipes as accurate as possible. And he won't make things that didn't exist. Like you couldn't be like, oh, dude, make some nachos. He wouldn't do that. He'd be like, no, they didn't make nachos back in 18th century America and England. That's
pretty wild.
Yeah, and so like the whole. And you'll see it's a really entertaining cooking channel because it runs the gamut between like, wow, that actually looks really good, and holy crap, I can't believe they ate that. That sounds really terrible. And he'll even be the first to admit it. He'll be like, this tastes awful. I'm so glad I don't have to eat this. But other times it's like, no, this tastes really good because it's really bad for you, or it's actually really good for you. Like it runs the gamut of every sort of. A harvest succotash is another recipe where it's basically like you can tell whoever made this recipe just had a bunch of ground vegetables like gourds, carrots, like shit that grew in the ground. and they're like, okay, what do we have to put in the pot today that makes us live longer? Gourds. Let's do something with gourds.
They loved them gourds back then.
Right.
Oh, God, they loved gourds.
And recently he's been doing a series called The Food of the Enslaved, which is the stuff the enslaved Americans, the slaves, would make. And that's really interesting because it's even more limited in like what they had access to make their food with. But at the same time, it uses flavors and recipes that the colonial Americans wouldn't even dare to like try.
Oh no, but they try those spices and they get like sudden influx of rush to their nether regions. They want to go out and sin.
Right? No, like that's the thing. Like a lot of these, you'd be lucky if there's pepper in some of these.
Ugh.
But the slave food is like, hey, all we have is cornmeal and a bunch of different spices and grease.
I mean, I knew slavery was bad, but now I know that they didn't get to have pizza. It's a real atrocity.
Right. So yeah, and I've just been on this primitivism kick on YouTube because to me there's nothing more ironic than to watch some dude build a thatch hut via my magical screen. And
yet ironically there'd be no way to do it without it.
Right, exactly. I'd never be able to see this happen, but there it is.
Oh yeah, I have no interest in living like I'm stuck in some shitty past century, but I think it's cool that like that knowledge can be preserved and shared.
Right. Well, and it gives us an insight into how our culinary cultures formed, and especially in the Food of the Enslaved series, it's like shit was bad. It was so bad that like, no, you don't go home and have a hot meal. You go home and you get like, hey, here's some okra. Do something with the okra.
That's what I love kind of most about learning about history is that it sets the context for everything that's happening now. It's like if you come in partway through a movie or you start watching a TV show 4 seasons in. And you have no idea really what's going on, but then when you see how it began, everything starts to, or something that happened earlier at least that set it up, everything starts to make more sense.
Recently got into just trying to figure out what was going on in the aquarium like culture. I don't know why I got into that.
Oh, I love aquarium culture. I'm a big aquarium head.
Actually, I know why I got into that, and it's an interesting story, and I'm going to tell you. And Shoggoth was part of the story. We had a neighbor who was he had a drug he was a drug dealer, and he was going through a very terrible breakup, which aggravated like his mental illness and his willingness to come to the door with a loaded gun, which made socializing with him difficult.
So he was more willing to come to the door with a loaded gun.
Right, exactly. Like, in fact, he would not come to the door without one. And then, you know, he was going through a breakup, so he'd invite myself or Shoggoth over to just talk for a little bit. And he could get really dark. And there were weapons about, and he'd be getting real dark, and then be getting kind of scary, and you were wondering what exactly you were doing over there. But if you brought up this dude's aquarium, his tone would change instantly. He would get up, he'd start feeding the fish, he'd tell you about, oh, this one, it cost me $300, he's a little shit, he won't do anything but shit and poop and eat food all day, but I love this little fucker, man. He's the best. I don't think he named them because he didn't have like a relationship with the fish other than they were
the big one was named Big Dummy.
Oh yeah,
what was named Big Dummy? A lot of them did have names, and his he had 2 axolotls named Miho. I can't remember the other one.
But it was a great source of pride for him because it was an incredibly large tank, which required a pretty large amount of maintenance, and he had some pretty exotic fish in there.
That actually owns, in my opinion.
Right, and it was really also very therapeutic for him because a lot of his other life was complete chaos, but he controlled the biome, the literal biome, the microcultures in that fish tank, so that the fish he wanted could live in there, and he could enjoy having that fish.
First of all, people who like drugs people like aquariums tend to like drugs, put it that way.
Checks out.
And yeah, they are passionate about their fishies and about the biome. Like they intricately control the exact chemical makeup of the tank and the temperature and everything. They're meticulous about it, and it's so much effort and so much money, but they sure get something out of it.
I was kind of looking into that because I'm like, man, I remember how happy that made that guy, and if I could have that happiness, you know, what would it take? And it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
I've never kept pets of my own of any kind because it just seems like a lot of effort. And I'm a little bit absent-minded, and I'm always worried that if I had much less fish, but like even a cat or a dog or a plant, that I would just get distracted and forget about it for a week and it would die.
Well, cats they'll fend for themselves. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they'll either like annoy you till you do something, or they'll be like, "Fuck this guy, I'm out of here."
Yeah,
and
with the cat, I'd be more worried about it just disappearing one day or getting hit by a car.
Right. Dogs, on the other hand, you need to take them out and shit like that. I don't know if I can do that. And I've never owned a bird. I think I watch videos of cute birds on YouTube sometimes, and to me, I'm just like, this creature's being as annoying as it possibly can and delighting in it.
Like, oh yeah, they are sassy. They're like, rah, rah, rah. They'll dance around and they love getting rowdy.
Right, yeah, right, and it's not that they're just like they're like a child. I saw one. It grabbed a little plastic cup with its talons and held it in towards its mouth and just screamed as loud as it could. And the cup amplified the sound and it echoed throughout the house. And then it pokes its little head up after screaming, and it looks pleased as punch. It's like, I did that. I made that sound.
Yeah, see, birds are party animals, basically. Right. They just want to get rowdy and make a ruckus.
Right, like another one.
So they're actually kind of fun.
They had like a baking tin, like a baking sheet for cookies, and the bird puts its beak up to it, and then it just twists its head back and forth as possible, running its beak over the baking tin, creating this like as fast and as hard as it can, and then it looks up with that same goddamn look. It's like, I did that.
My nephew
I
made
a big sound. Yeah.
I was playing videos. I've seen them like picking cups up and just banging them all around. Just bam, 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 bam.
Right, and they just love it. They're absolutely thrilled to pieces that they can cause destruction and make loud sounds.
That reminds me of one. As a kid, I remember being told or seeing on like Discovery Channel or something, oh, a parrot's like as smart as a 3-year-old. And like my nephew's 1.5, and that's his whole thing. Is it's like throwing stuff around or knocking it over or making a loud noise with one of his electronic toys, and it's just, I did something and the world reacted loudly and violently, and that's incredibly amusing, and I can understand that. I
guess. I mean, what are guns if not that?
Yeah.
My dad used to have this Quaker parrot that he learned to mimic sneeze sounds, and
oh my god!
So he'd just do like and he'd hang around and he'd keep doing it until you pay attention to him. We started like clapping for him when he'd do it. He'd like bob his head and then he'd go do something else and he'd be like, I do, until you came back and like applauded him again.
Wow.
No, that really sounds like a young toddler, just like whatever gets a reaction.
Yeah, they just like their attention horse. Their bright plumage.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty intense stuff. I don't know. What is it? There's this one YouTube channel. I hope I can find it and plug it for our viewers. I think it's called like Eric the Legend. This particular bird knows how to say its name, and I'm a fucking legend. But when I say it knows, when I say it knows its name, it only knows its name because it's been screamed at it in the tone of Eric. That's how it says its name.
You been a naughty boy today, Eric? Eric, have you been no? Have you been a naughty boy today? You're not a fucking legend at all. Did you bash up the dog? No, you're not a fucking legend. Did you scare the cat? Did you scare the cat? Lester, don't laugh at him. He's not funny. Eric, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. You're not a fucking legend at all. You're a naughty, 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 naughty boy. You're not. You're not. Lester, don't laugh at him. You're naughty. Naughty, naughty, naughty. No, he doesn't want to kiss a legend because you're not a legend. He doesn't want to kiss a legend.
That's the only time its owners have communicated with it. And so there are videos of it doing the most tyrannical things. Like this lady, she's just trying to set placemats and drink coasters on the table, and the bird just flies onto the table and picks up a drink coaster and slams it back down and throws it off the table. And it goes, I'm fucking legend. And Eric, naughty bird. And Eric goes, naughty bird, and does it again.
Yeah, no, that sounds like my infant nephew for sure.
Right. And this continues for like 10 minutes. There's one called like Rainy Day Coin Jar, where this bird flies up to a jar of coins and just starts grabbing as many as it can and just throwing them on the floor, throwing them on the floor. And the owners just are screaming frantically for it to just stop. But no, it loves it. It loves the screams. It loves the sounds of coins being thrown on the floor. It loves knocking things over, and it's never going to stop.
Yeah, that's birds. All they want to do is party.
How do you love something like that? How do you be like, oh, he's a bit of a pain, but he's so cute. Like, where's the redeeming bit?
I think just like you get a pet and just the initial investment of time you spend taking care of it and getting used to it, and even just the money you spend on it makes you attached to it. Like,
plus,
you know,
they're enthusiastic about it. They're annoying, but at the same time, it's like, oh, look how happy they are to be.
Right. You get great pleasure from the simple things in life. Like,
I mean,
well, it's also we have a desire to do. Everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to, like, at times just like throw everybody's shit around, just scream and like, I hate this society. And birds can do what we can't.
I wonder if I was faced with a similar situation where I lived in a giant's house and there was nothing much I could do, but they had all these shiny, flat things that I knew they valued, and I could just throw them. I could throw them on the floor. I could throw them on the floor all day. You can't stop me. What are you going to do? You're going to pick all these up later. I know it. You're going to pick all these up later. You're going to put them in a little jar, and I'm going to come back and do it tomorrow.
I think, too, like, anytime an animal is an asshole, it's annoying in the moment, but a week later it's funny.
I mean, that's why I'm watching it. That's why I'm watching it. I think the owners know that too. They're like, it's a pain, but it's hilarious later.
I think it's just because with animals and with small children, we don't really expect anything else. Like, you know, we know that there isn't like a full reasonable process there. So anytime they do something really destructive or stupid, it's like, oh, that was a pain in the ass. And a week later, it's just like, oh wow, man! Remember that time that we found the cat had shit all over the dog, and the dog looked really confused about it.
And then the dog ran around and like rolled on the carpet to try to get it off, and made this giant shit thing.
And it's like that would suck so much to deal with in the moment and clean everything up. But then, like a year later, you're talking to your buddies. It's like, oh man, this cat shit on the dog. It was so funny.
I mean, we even do that with inanimate stuff.
Oh yeah,
like if something poops on the floor and then the Roomba gets it. And it just drags it all over the house. That's hilarious.
Roomba, no!
I love my Roomba. We dated for like a year.
How'd that work out? It sucked.
I mean,
okay, there you go.
You know what? It was. Yeah, I can't top that actually.
Yeah, sorry. I set myself up for it and just teed it off. I couldn't wait. Oh, you know what we can talk about briefly because there's not much to say on it. PewDiePie's a Nazi.
Oh yeah. So PewDiePie is a YouTube Let's Player, and I mean, I actually have attempted to make those, so I'm not judging the concept because I'm not above it. But he's like the most annoying kind that just shrieks obscenities at games, and it's just like, I'm so random and wacky. And yeah, he did a thing where he paid some guys in India $5 to hold up a sign that said "Death to all Jews" because that's so funny. Yeah. And now he lost his lucrative business deals with Disney.
I mean, it's a little exploitive, but I can't say I'm above because I paid some dude on Fiverr to read a message that basically was like, "Fuck you, so and so. I hate you." Like just you know, just to have some guy read that with no understanding of what he was reading. But to pay them to broadcast anti-Semitism, it's like, oh, that isn't inherently funny. It's not an in-joke between you and all the Jews. Like, you and all the Jews can hang out and be like, oh, I'm gonna gas you. Oh no, don't gas me. Like, you're not there. You're not.
I understand the basic, like, oh, I got these guys to say something no one would say. That's so outrageous. But how can you not expect that response in an era when there's a fascist sitting in the White House and his chief advisor was literally one of those guys who's like, I don't want my kids going to school with Jews.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, like, it's It's not even like saying something disgusting or provocative. Like
it's also it's just tired and it's dumb.
Yeah, I've seen tricking people into saying like, "I am sofa king. We taught it." Like, okay, fine. There you go. You made them say you were stupid. You know, there you go.
Honestly, it's just. I mean, to me, it's just this guy is a literal millionaire from his just shitty YouTube videos. And I'm just kind of glad. Like, fuck this guy. He's not even good at what he like. In so much as making videos of yourself playing and talking over video games is a thing, he's not even that good at it.
No, he's really annoying.
He's incredibly annoying.
He's also so rich that this really isn't going to affect. Like this,
and it won't. Like it's not like his children are starving. He's just some internet guy who he's like Notch or something, right? He's got a ton of money. He's going to be fine. This isn't some great injustice. I mean, He never really, in my opinion, he never really deserved to be that rich in the first place. But also, in my opinion, no one really deserves to be that rich in the first place.
Well,
speaking of donate to the Patreon.
Right. We would deserve, because there's more than one of us. We'd share it. We wouldn't volunteer infighting immediately.
We'll spread it around. All we need is 1 million people to donate $1 a day.
Right.
And we need to pay kids to make more memes for us. We need to start outsourcing that. We need to get some Indian kids on Fiverr to like, okay, we need have you read Zizek? Yes.
Yeah, I'll get the kids to make memes for us. We'll get kids to edit the podcast for us. We'll get kids to do the podcast for us. We'll be true capitalists.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
We will just pay other people.
I wonder if we could pay someone on Fiverr to be a co-host.
Children's Crusade, LLC.
In any case, speaking of terrible internet people who are back and just fine, Kiwifarms is up again.
Oh,
hey.
Yeah, so if we release these issues in chronological order, everything worked out, and not really. There's a bunch of drama about the owner, and they're just back, and they're just as terrible with it as before, and they haven't really done that kind of what I was hoping for, that like, oh, we're gonna strike back and show how powerful we are, big internet tough guys. They haven't even done that yet.
Ah, boo!
Oh, come on, guys, step it up. We're covering you. You got to give us something to cover.
Start a feud. Blow up half the internet.
Right, the spectators in the Coliseum stands are bored right now. You gotta spill some blood. So
the thumbs are drifting downwards.
Slam someone into the boards, damn it! Take your skate off and cut a throat with it. I think that's a joke from Happy Gilmore, actually. Oh God.
I thought you were trying to go for who is that skater that hit someone in the kneecaps?
Oh, I don't know.
Tonya Harding.
Oh, you mean figure skating? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were doing some Tonya Harding shit. I didn't know where you're going with it.
No, I was just thinking of hockey. Like when I think ice skates, I think hockey because I'm a Canuck.
I think figure skating. So there you go.
Oh, speaking of people who lost their jobs this week, Milo, Indianapolis, lost his book deal because he said, I haven't seen it yet. I guess he said child molesting was okay or something.
Yes,
I watched a bit of the video. It's interesting.
So Milo Yiannopoulos, I think we talked about him a bit before. He's the token gay fascist. So all the fascists can be like, we don't hate gay people, even though he hates gay people.
He is like, the Hugo Boss to Trump's Hitler.
Yeah, like he's like very flamboyant, but also says being gay is worse. He hates trans people, he hates women, he hates Muslims, and it's all documented. He is a literal fascist. It's not just something I'm throwing around. But a couple videos surfaced of him defending child rape because. And this is the thing I think is kind of interesting. So he says he was basically, he says it was like a great experience, but he was basically raped by a priest. And I think that's kind of where a lot of this worldview comes from, is a lapsed Catholic with a lot of negative feelings about both the time they were raped and their homosexuality as a whole. And so you get this kind of, I'm proud, but I also think everything I do is wrong and I hate myself thing. Like, I think that's how you get a gay fascist is.
Having watched some of these videos. I don't
themselves
know.
From their own victimization.
Milo's shtick is being edgy and reactionary as possible. One of the easiest ways to be edgy and reactionary is be like, "Oh yeah, pedophile. That's not so bad. Whatever. I'm real casual about it."
like I said, I think that might not just be him being edgy, because I mean he also advocated for, and he's saying he didn't now, but there's another recording where he was in like a group chat with some guys for a podcast or a thing, and he's talking about how basically grown men should be able to have sex with 13-year-old boys because it's good for the 13-year-old boys to learn about how to have sex with grown men or something. I've seen the video. You can go.
Look, I don't need Milo to be a pedophile to villainize him. Like I'm just like, I don't care. Whatever. Like,
but if he's
the only thing that gets me is there's one where someone's like, ha ha ha, yeah, you're joking, right? And he's like, no. And he's like, you're just being a tryhard. He's like, no, I'm not. And to me, in the clip I watched, he's obviously still being like edgy and sarcastic, but there's a point where someone like, you're doing these jokes, you're doing hella jokes, and everyone's laughing and having a good time, and someone's like, we should do something extremely insensitive, and someone's like, you're just funning, and you go, yeah.
That's true, but I think like I said, I think in this case it might be like a kind, like I said, like I think part of his belief system might have been built around trying to, instead of eliminating the negative feelings he has about himself and what happened to him, hold them while still simultaneously being what he is. And with the I had a great time having sex with this priest and I learned to give good head. Like, I don't think it's just, I'm coping with humor, which is a fine thing that I totally support. But I think it's trying to build a worldview where he doesn't have to be a victim because being a victim is bad. Like, you see that a lot with reactionaries and conservatives. Like, you think there should be things to help black people get jobs? Well, you're just making victims out of them.
Mm.
Being a victim means you're weak, and being weak is bad. Therefore, no one should be a victim. And if you're a victim, then you deserve it because you were too weak. But I'm not a victim because I'm not weak.
I don't know.
And it's just
I don't need to rationalize it. I don't actually think he's a pedophile. The only thing I object to is when he gets to the point where someone's going like, you're not serious, right? You can get away with like 2. No, I'm totally being serious, because that in itself is funny and subversive. Like when someone's like, are you joking?
Context,
yeah. Are you joking? And you go, no, I'm totally serious. But after like the third one, you have to go, yeah, dude, I'm just fucking around. Don't you know any better? God, you're stupid. And you turn it back on him, and you go like, I totally got you. You totally bought that for a few seconds. I mean, that's you.
You got some kind of monster.
You think, yeah? What do you think I am, a monster? Like, so in my mind, either he's just really unfunny and not good at jokes, or he's a pedophile. And Occam's razor leads me to believe it's just not being.
He talked about, like we talked earlier about the Hollywood child fuckers, and he talked about being at parties with famous people that he wouldn't name, hint, but that he saw some extremely young boys there getting it on with some dirty ass old men. And
Bryan Singer.
So he more or less, like Bryan Singer, but not Bryan Singer, but totally Bryan Singer was fucking young boys in front of him, and that's just a thing. That's
guy who looked just like Bryan Singer and who may have been involved in the X-Men movies was
But what gets me is this kind of blew up in conservative circles the same time it blew up everywhere else. So you've got like all these guys like this self-proclaimed, like it was like a Twitter account called the Reagan Brigade or something was big in sort of promoting these videos. And what gets me is, so it's like, so this is wrong. And it is wrong, but all of the times that he talked about how rape culture isn't a thing, how, we're too strict about our concept of consent, how white people are just better than everyone else and everyone else should stop crying about it and go back home. Like, I mean, rape, misogyny, genocide, that's all A-okay. But he gets busted talking about how it's okay for men to have sex with young boys, and now that's what finally makes everyone turn on him.
Well, that's it's kind of the old.
I don't think everyone's turning on him, though. That's the thing.
Well, not everyone, but I mean, I just saw a thing. It's like there's a bunch of Breitbart editors or writers threatening to quit if he doesn't get fired from there. His book deal got canceled. A bunch of these right-wing pundits and notable personalities, quote unquote, are all kind of, maybe they didn't like him before anyways, but now they're really kind of gunning for him.
I really think this is all going to backfire. I think it's really easy to deny being a pedophile, and he's in a position where everyone wants to forgive him.
I mean, there's definitely like a group, a wing that will totally be on board with him still. I'm not at all like expecting like he will go away now or like fade into it or like end up completely disgraced like a Bill Cosby or something. Or the what was the guy who did that song? Da da na na na. Hey, he was busted like having sex with little kids in Cambodia or somewhere in Southeast Asia. Gary Glitter. This was a long time ago. Yeah. But I do think like this is one of the signs that there like all of these fractures and wounds on the sort of right wing coalition are still there. Like there is no hegemony over there beyond their shared opposition to leftism and liberalism, which they cannot tell the difference between.
Shared ignorance is just as powerful as shared whatever the opposite of ignorance is.
Oh no, that's totally true. I totally believe that. Like you see that just like I'm even guilty of it. Like just the people that come out to say, "Oh, this thing that everyone knows about." I'm one of the people that doesn't know or care about it.
All these fake skins at the sex shop remind me so much of a important
Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs.
That, but also one of the central plot points in Gravity's Rainbow is this compound called Imoplex G, which is a synthetic skin that's being developed by an incredibly complicated conspiracy of 20th century industrialists involved around World War II. And without anybody else, it's just interesting because it was this flesh, this artificial flesh that they were putting on the Rocket Zero and wrapping. It involved a lot of weird sex stuff was happening, but yeah, Imoplex.
Oh, did they make like a flying space dick, basically?
Yeah, that's kind of the story of Gravity's Rainbow, is that the Nazis build a space stick and then it explodes onto the beginning of the story.
Well, I just love that all of our technology, Bluetooth, electroshock therapy, synthetic flesh has gone into an industry where we just put it in our butt.
I don't think we have anything Bluetooth operated at my store, but I'm sure they're coming.
I'm sure there's virtual telepresence dildonics. I'm sure that exists.
Long live the new Fleshlight.
Yes. We sell Fleshlights. But they're so packaged up, I can't get one out to have a look at it. So.
What's there to look at, man? They don't light up or anything.
That's why you need a test model. It's like, do I want the full Fleshlight or the mouth Fleshlight? Like, I need to.
I think they're very straightforward devices. I don't think anyone has been confused about their operation.
It's fun to see one in person. You know, I've heard so much about them.
Right.
Anybody can be confused by the operation of anything. Trust me, I've seen so many people fuck up using a debit machine. How do you fuck up using a debit machine?
There's more than one step. Well,
I mean, with a Fleshlight, there's one step, but it's one step you have to repeat like at least 6 times. I don't know, maybe more.
Maybe for you, well, I'm down to 3.
I hope as your gainful employments continues, we hear more tales from the Flesh Crypt.
Oh yeah.
At least you don't have to sell lottery tickets.
That's true.
God, I hate selling lottery tickets.
Let's do our final
scam.
Yeah, I like them, but I mean, I hated selling them because people get all people act the worst and the stupidest when they're buying lottery tickets.
Oh man, like I get like old ladies coming in with like dozens of lottery tickets. It takes me half an hour to scan them all into the machine and then work out what they won or lost on each one and then figure out what they're paying out. And then they buy like I had a lady come in yesterday. I spent half an hour scanning and tallying up all her lottery tickets and then paying her out, and she took the $150 she won off all these scratch and win tickets and bought more scratch and win tickets.
Of course. Gotta feed the machine.
That's how she entertains herself, I guess. I mean, like, I know I shouldn't be judgmental, but I feel like of all the ways you could possibly entertain yourself, scratch and win tickets seem like a really dumb one. I mean, you could do crosswords or Sudoku or watch TV or play video games, like anything
jerk
else,
off,
it would be cheaper.
Pull your toenails out.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
I can't pass judgment, but like, I mean, if people like scratch and win tickets, they should get them for free and not pay for them because it's basically just another casino scam.
I agree. We should just get scratch off tickets for free, but we should still win money from them.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
This is maybe we shouldn't be the architects of the revolution because I'm just not sure our economic scheme is solid here. Hey, final thoughts?
Final thoughts, drop it low, put it in the dirt, sex drive, put it in reversed, killed the ass, put it in a hearse, Then I drove off and put it in the dirt. Next episode better have Georgeson in it.
Oh yeah, we should do another Georgeson reading if we can't get him on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he would appreciate my lyrics there.
Go team!
Sure.
I'll leave you to figure that one out for yourselves.
Yeah, go team into Discord and tell them how much that sucked. Jesus Christ.
And I'd like to finish off with a song lyric from Mr. David Jones from his song Moon Age Daydream. I'm an alligator. I'm a big horny chicken. Look at me, I'm David Bowie. Cuckoo, ka-choo.
Cuckoo, ka-choo.
She was never cool with Nancy, now they'll never be good friends. She was never cool with Nancy.